where we teach and show you how God works in our careers, what His purpose is for us, and why we should trust Him in everything that we do. My name is Rita Wilson.
And I'm Sandra Fernandez.
And we are here with Ruth. How are you?
Hi, Ruth.
We're not going to talk about that.
How are you?
First of all, thank you.
You're welcome. How are you?
Good.
I just waited. I'm super excited to have you on this episode. Beck had called me and told me that you really wanted to share your story because you felt like the world needed to hear it. And when I met with you at your house last week, it was just so impactful and so powerful. So I know you're really nervous, but know that God's got you in the palm of His hands, and that everything that we're sharing here is going to impact and change people's lives. So I know it's really hard for you to walk into this room and hard for you to say yes, but I'm happy you're here, and I'm sure Sandra is too.
I'm very happy. This is a safe space, and we're really all excited to hear your story. You're really amazing, strong women.
I'm so nervous. I'm really excited. You just can't see it.
Yeah. That's okay. I got to meet your beautiful girls. So tell us a little about your kids and your family. And she has a grandbaby that's super cute. I couldn't stop holding her. So tell us a little bit about your family.
I have 4 kids, 2 boys, 2 girls, in that order.
Yeah.
I have my granddaughter she recently just turned a month. My oldest son, Joel, my son Saul, my daughter Giselle, and my daughter Destiny, and my grandbaby Camila.
Oh, cute.
Love that.
Yes.
Do you spend a lot of time, what do you guys all do together as a family?
Now,
Yeah.
we're with the baby. I had her 2 nights in a row, a couple days. Well, no, yesterday I didn't have her, but the last 2 days I had her. I just kidnapped her now. Yeah.
Is it weird being a grandma?
No.
Or are you pretty
It's
yes, I'm
perfect,
a grandma?
Perfect timing.
Yes.
Yeah, because before I was, no.
You look so young.
You do look super young.
I'm 26.
She's 26. I love it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, what else you want to know? I don't know.
So what do you like to do for fun? What do you like to do in your free time?
Now?
Uh-huh. She's now.
Yeah. I have to, yeah. I read the Bible more. Okay. I hear worship. I watch testimonials. I watch a lot of preachings. I like to... I had a passion for makeup, and that kind of diminished. But I still like doing it. I'm finding that right now, because there's not a specific thing now, because if you would have asked me a year ago what I like doing, I would have said I like drinking. I like to make a lot of mixed drinks, and I like to have a lot of people over to have parties.
Right.
So that has changed.
So you're in a whole different state of your life right now.
Completely different.
I love that. How does that feel?
It feels good. It feels relieving. I'm not, I don't know how to put that in words, because it gradually started, changing my life. It just started changing. I feel so much more at peace, though. There was just a lot of heaviness prior. I say a year ago, there was a lot of heaviness. There's a lot of resentment, anger, bitterness. You name them all. There was nothing good. If you would have met me before, you would be like, oh, I'm going to pray for her. Because it's completely different now.
All right. So take us back. Take us back to the beginning, and share your story with us. Let us know how you got closer to God. Because right now I see someone who is excited about the Lord, who wants to get to know Him more and get to know Him on a personal level. Even hearing your kids talk about God when I went to your house was awesome. So I could like feel it and tell that, you know, there's a change there. So take us back, share your story with us, and let us know how you guys got to this point.
So I'm not gonna tell you my age, but it was around 80s.
I'm not gonna tell you that.
So I'm the second to the last of 8 siblings. My sister, 8 siblings, right? I'm the second to the last, and let me rewind. I'm the third to the last. We have a brother that's minute, but I call him my brother. So, anyways, I was born and raised in Brigham City. We had a home in Brigham by a cemetery, and you wouldn't find us in the house because we were always riding our bikes in the cemetery or down the hill. I had a good childhood as far as like we went to church. We grew up in church. It was me, my sister, and my brother that were always together. It was good. We have older siblings that weren't really in the picture. We weren't really close to, so it was just really us. And it was also chaotic, even though we went to church. It was chaotic. It was many things. And by the age of 8 or 9, I'm not going to go into detail, but that's where it kind of turned for me as far as like my life. I don't even know if I should talk about it. Anyways, I was abused at a very young age, 8 or 9. And then from there, there was a lot of stuff that happened where I could say now that it didn't affect me throughout my life, but it was detrimental.
I commend you for being so strong and for sharing something so vulnerable. Because I know that it's very hard because there's a lot of emotion that comes with it. It's not just...
Yeah, I'm trying to
fear.
control those right now.
Yeah, no, I totally understand.
Anyway, so I'm trying to get back focused. With it being detrimental, that pretty much left that foundation of I didn't have self-esteem. I wasn't good enough. All those things entwined, and here I am. And fast forward, we had to make a decision as a family to sell our home that we grew up in. And that time that was going on, I hated the place that we had to move to. And in between that time, I missed like a month of school. And it was, I think, 8th grade, 3rd trimester. And when I went back, there was a new kid on the block or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I didn't have a type or anything like that. I wasn't even boy crazy or nothing. And I think it turned on. when I seen him. So it was pretty much a wrap. The way we got together and things like that. Like fast forward, at this point I'm 14 and 13, 14, and we ended up being boyfriend, girlfriend. He left, came back, and we were together for like 2.5 years. I maintained my purity for almost a year, and he wasn't like mean or like abused, like none of those things. It's like puppy love, what they call it. And so we're always together. I didn't talk to my sister, like I left her out of the loop and almost everything. We were close at one point. And so I was always with him. We would talk. I'm not even looking at you guys, but I was looking at the wall to calm down. And so we were to get, like, we would stay up all hours of the night talking out the porch. Like, it was just really innocent and whatever. And I kind of stopped going to church with my parents. I would make excuses like, I don't want to go, like, and we grew up in church where I was the good girl. I call myself the good girl. I don't know if anyone else called me good girl, but I said I was a good girl. Because I read the Bible. I didn't like to watch certain things on TV. I would get mad at my sister and tattle telling her if she was watching like MTV or whatever. And I sang at the choir at a certain point in my youth, and I was a shy one. I didn't talk to anybody. That is why I had so much of an issue getting on here, even talking, because I'm just genuinely, I am a timid person. That was kind of like the past. I still am kind of, but that's another subject. So I was timid person, whatever. So, now we're together and I'm leaving church. I feel like, okay, well, I mean, no boys like me in the church anyway, so. So we got together, and at one point we broke up. He ended up going behind my back, and actually was with a good friend of mine. They were sneaking around together. And that's where I knew I didn't have any self-esteem or any type of value to myself, because I settled with him. He's the only one that, gives me attention. So I knew he was with all kinds of girls, and I still stayed with him. He ended up going away, and he was talking to other girls, and then I ended up getting back in the picture with him, and he breaks up with his girlfriends, and on one of his visits, I end up getting pregnant. I am 16. He ends up... Yeah, I was 16 at this point, and...
When you got pregnant?
Mm-hmm. And mind you, he's the only one I've ever been with. My first everything. So it was like a lot of attachment. Right. And what we call now today is soul ties, Right. So he gets out. Not even a month after that, that I find out that I got pregnant, he gets out, and it's like, all right, you guys got to get married. It's the best thing for you guys to do. I didn't have a choice. I felt like I didn't have a choice.
Who told you had to get married?
My parents.
Your parents?
My parents, his parents. His parents and his side, they were Catholic. They didn't believe in, that, but they believed in, we got to do the right thing.
Right.
My parents were like, well, you can't live in sin. You got to get married, and I didn't want to. My sisters didn't want me to. And I'm like, I don't want to get married. Like, I don't need, can we just be boyfriend and girlfriend and raise a kid? And they're like, no, that's not an option. Within that month, we got married. And I moved in with his family, and not even 2 weeks married, I started to get hit. And when I say hit, I mean that very kindly, like in that sense, because it just didn't get hit. I got beat. And I forgot to read my journal, but I wrote in a journal, like, every entry, when he did all that. I don't want to cry. I'm not going to talk. And so I went through my journal a couple days ago. And my sister did a podcast. She did this one before I did, and she had mentioned some. And I go, that was the same thing I told myself the first time he hit me. I was always like, I would never let a man touch me. I would never let anyone treat me like that. Mm-hmm. And then the second that it happened, I just cried because I said, this is my life. And now I just need to shut up. I just need to keep it quiet, whatever.
So you didn't say anything?
I didn't say anything. My family didn't know because I kept it from them. Mm-hmm. And
was it fear?
No.
It wasn't?
It was embarrassment.
Okay.
I was very kind of vocal about I would never deal with anybody like that. Right. What the heck? Yeah, no. I didn't tell anybody. I think they found out 2.5 years later. So I hit it, and bruises would be on my face. My face would get red, and I would cover up. I would cover it up. Thanks, CoverGirl. Just kidding. So I covered up. I had bruises on my arms. I'd cover up, and it was a constant thing. It was a constant thing where I didn't question my life anymore. I just said, he's just having a bad day. I'd make excuses, or, it's my fault because, I didn't do this right, or I didn't clean the room, or stuff like that. Well, fast forward, I'm I think it was 7-8 months. It was kind of 2 bad incidents back to back. One of the nights he had hit me. I'm saying it very nice right now, but he threw me across the room, and I was 8 months pregnant, so I was big already, and I just cried because I was like, I don't know if the baby's okay. I don't know anything like that, and he was my first, so I said, I'd rather die than have to bring my child into the world so he sees this stuff. So I took a bottle of ibuprofen, or aspirin, whatever it was at that time, and I felt very weak or whatever, and I know I just went down, but I just got sick. I literally just got sick all night, and so and he was there, and I just cried and cried, but he wasn't. He was there, but there was no reaction, nothing whatever. And then we moved into a house, and we were barely setting up the room, and I don't know what happened. The worst thing I would tell him to get hit would be shut up, or I'd say, where were you? Who were you with? I heard I'd get phone calls, hey, he's over here with this girl, so and so, and or I'd find out stuff like, why are you doing this? Like, you're married, and I'd get beat up, I'd get hit, and I got punched, close fist in the face a lot. So I kind of already knew what was in store if I spoke up. I'd walk around with my head down. We'd go to the grocery store. I wouldn't say hi to any of his friends. I was very like closed off. And anyways, the incident at the house before I gave birth, he punched me so hard, like boom, boom, like just punched me in my mouth, and I had a tooth that chipped, and I was choking on my blood, and I remember just laying flat on the bed, and I was just choking and choking, and I said, just let me die. I said, just let me die. Just leave me alone. He's like, no, you gotta get up. So he forced me in the bathroom, and he was making me spit out the blood. And no, I didn't leave. I stayed.
What kept you there in that moment? Like, after going through so many of those abusive.
I couldn't go back home. And
did you feel alone in that moment? Like, unsupported? Because sometimes we can have our whole circle, but when we're in those situations, the shame and the guilt and the embarrassment will isolate us into believing that we are alone.
Right.
it was all that, and the fact that I didn't have a job. I was about to give birth. I couldn't go back home. I didn't have resources. Well, I thought at that time. And so I stayed. And fast forward, it's the same dance and song. It's a broken record. We get back together. He's with many women, and I settle again, and I'm back with him, and I get pregnant again, and he leaves whenever he wants. He goes out of state to work. He doesn't say anything to me, and I'm pregnant again, and this is ongoing for years. My sons are 2.5 years apart, and I finally go back to school and I do things or whatever, and then he comes back in the picture. It was always like, if I'm doing something, he comes back in. He hinders that. And so, and I followed him, wherever he goes, I end up following him. And
did you get on your knees at any of these moments and pray to God and say, Lord, help me? Because your foundation was church, so you knew him.
One of the reasons why, though, because I knew that this wasn't the path that God gave me. He wasn't the man that God chose for me. If I would have waited and been patient, so it was like, for me in my head,
like you made a mistake.
I made my bed. I had to sleep in it tight.
You didn't wait for the man God really had for you.
Yeah.
And isn't that something that, like, is such a lie that the enemy will tell us, is like, you messed up, you fix it, and we try to make it better.
Right.
But in making it better, we make it worse.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and at that age, like being so young, like, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. Like, I was like, if God comes, I'm going to literally die a virgin. That's what went through my head.
Oh,
so
wow.
I was like, do I, want to go test the waters? And there was, what they call it, when you're not with a man of God or who God chose for you, you're gonna live in torment and in chaos, and now I know that. At that time, I didn't seek God as much as I should have, and I'll be honest with you, a lot of the preachings were in regards to that, teaching of, the soul ties and being patient and, stuff like that. So, in any case, it's going on for years. He ends up having children while we're married, and here I am, pregnant with my fourth, and we are in Texas. And I find out when I had to go do my testings before I was going to give birth, that he gave me an STD, and I was sick, and
How did you feel in that moment when you found out you had an STD? What ran through your head?
I don't even remember. I, once again, like, was very used to it. So I was like, oh, again?
It
I
became
better
a
be
normal.
cured, you know, like, you better not have given me whatever, so-and-so. And I took his word for everything.
Yeah.
Like, you know, so, yes, you call it stupidity, it is. And so we get to the point where I'm over there, my family's here, and I don't know what took over me at that time. And I know women get, you know, they say they get tired and they'll end up leaving, but I was tired a long time ago. I don't know why I stayed. Like, I can't answer that question because it's so much within that. I was affected because of when I was younger, what had happened to me. I didn't have no self-esteem. I didn't have direction. I didn't have any type of guidance or that fatherly figure. My dad was sick. And so it was a lot of things entwined to that. I feel like you're married once, that's it. That's it. You know, and I had kids with him. You hear so many things, and then towards the end I go, if anything, I'm going to leave for the kids, not stay, you know, I'm not going to stay. But it was so messed up in my head that I never did until towards the end. I don't want to cry because my dad was really sick, and I got that phone call that I was scared to get. So I had to fly. I took two of my kids and we flew back here, and you know, to say our goodbyes
To your dad.
It's been so long, but it's kind of like it just happened.
Yeah. Still there.
Anyways, so before I left, it just happened like so instant. So I had to like fly back, and there's two things I'm really afraid of, and that's water and heights. And I didn't have no feeling when I went on that plane because I shut down. Well, they call it checked out. But when that had happened, I didn't get a hug from him or anything like. And so I ended up coming back, and I got real sick. And I got real sick. They call it mountain sickness because I went through airplane and came back in the bus. And I was weak. I couldn't eat. I couldn't do nothing. On top of that, I was mourning. I was grieving. So I cried every night for 30 days.
Oh, wow.
And the day that I got up, I mustered up enough energy to go take a shower. And I go and I take out his I took out something from the bathroom, and it made him mad. And I just remember being punched all the way to the shower till I fell. I cried in the shower, in a cold shower, and I got out. And I said, I'm leaving, and I'm taking the kids. And it sounded so like, yeah, I'm leaving, I'm going to pack my car and leave. I was in a different state. I didn't have money, job, nothing. So I had it in my head for 8 months, every day, I'm going to go back home. And 8 months later, I got enough money, and I bought 5 tickets. I bought 5 suitcases. And I left the 1st of March.
So he had no idea you were gone?
Oh yeah, he knew I was leaving. He didn't take me seriously. Because
the back and forth.
Throughout those 8 months, I was still doing my wifely duties, you know? I was waking up, making breakfast, cleaning the house, making dinner, having barbecues. Like, I did the whole 9. I didn't miss a beat with that. And I was coming back. I didn't have nothing. I left everything. We had a vehicle. I left everything. And I come and stay with my sister and my brother. And in a month, I got a job. And I got a place. And so I'm just trying to work my way to, you know, being independent, being like a single mom. And my focus again wasn't anywhere towards God, because even though I feel like God was always around, and occasionally I would do my prayers but I wouldn't talk to God like I talk to him now. And so I would go to church, you know, once in a while, go with my mom, or, you know, I'd go with my siblings anytime there was, you know, I knew God was always around. I know he was there. But also, it was like, not right now. And I started going out with my siblings. And I was probably, I don't know who was worse, but I went out Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and it was repetitive. And I think in that year, I was working and everything. Nothing did stop that, but and I was introduced to drugs earlier from their dad and stuff, so I already had tried it. But I really got into it like a year into being back, and I lost my focus as far as being a mom. Like,
what'd you get into?
I drank. That was normal. And then I would do cocaine. You know, I felt like, that's really nothing. It was meth that I got into. And I feel like I never got, like, addicted to cigarettes or stuff like that. So I go, I'm not getting addicted to this, you know. I was just something I'm going to try, you know. And that first try ended up to being, well, I'll mess with it, you know, another month. A month turned to another month, 6 months, and then here I am, 3.5 years, and doing meth. And
do you feel like that partying every single night was kind of like making up for all the times you're in the house taking care of the kids? Like just being out every single day, partying, going out.
Like, what do you mean?
You said you started going out, drinking, partying, and so that's after you left him, right? Like, once you left, you were partying and stuff. So do you feel like that came because before you were just kind of in the house with him and taking care of him, and you just wanted to be free?
I didn't have that. You know, teenagers go out bowling, and they go skating, and they go hang out with friends and go out to eat. I didn't experience none of that. it was church, home, and then I got into a relationship, and then I was home. Home, home. And now I feel like I'm free, you know?
Right.
At what point did you start feeling that freedom?
When I got my place and I was working and I was getting an actual, a check.
A check, yeah.
And if anything, during that time, I think my kids suffered the most because I wasn't a good mom. Yes, there was a roof over their heads. Yes, there was food in the house. But we struggled because my money wasn't going to where it should go. And because of everything that I had seen before and the abuse I went through, now I'm projecting that onto them. And I'm very open with them as far as like the abuse I did to them. And
so 3 years you was on meth.
3.5 years, and it was my morning, lunch. It was my breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It was like clockwork. And I did it wherever I could. I'd wrap it up real good. I put it in my purse where it wouldn't break. And one day I go to work, and I snapped at my boss, and my boss was like a mother figure to me at that time. And when I felt that ugliness that I snapped at her, I go, oh my gosh, I just did not do that. And mind you, I was high, so I felt like, oh, whatever, don't tell me nothing. But then it came down real quick, and I felt like, ew, like, did you just...
Like, who is this person?
And I go, if I keep going, this is gonna get worse. Yeah. So I went to the bathroom, and I cracked the pipe, and I threw whatever in the toilet. I wrapped up the cracked pipes. I had to throw in the trash. So I threw it in the trash, and I never touched it again. A year after that, I did do it once, and I never touched it again. And that's been like over, I want to say 12 years, 13 years.
That's awesome.
So I never touched it again, but I drank like no tomorrow, and I was still going out. And then I eventually, it was throughout the years of going out and doing everything. I go, I don't want to go out today, or I don't want to, like it was, I don't know what was slowing me down. But I go, I can't keep doing this, because one day I'm going to go back to church, one day. And so gradually I was going Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And then I go, oh, let's just go Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And then Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then every other week. And then once a month. And I go, I don't want to go out no more. So I started going out. And because of all that stuff that happened, I was only with him. Now promiscuity came in the picture.
Comes in, yeah.
And I was very bad in the sense that I didn't have no respect for who I was with.
Like, even though our situation looks different, it's still, the root of it is still there, and it's still causing you to do these things of not valuing yourself. And,
I was covering up with all these things. I was literally just covering up. Oh, I'm drinking, I'm happy, I'm good, whatever. Yeah. And then, I'm with these guys, and this guy, and this guy. And, like, for me, I was like, well, I can get them, Like, you can't tell me. I was always told I'm not going to.
But did you know, like, inside that there was really, like, some fear there, and there's some insecurity there? There was that hurt of, I don't want them to see the real me. Yeah. Because the real me is broken.
Yes. It was a persona that you put out to everybody. On Facebook, I made so many posts, Yeah. And I go, and I was talking to my sister, I go, if anybody knew, well, they're going to know now. Those were my darkest, fakest moments.
Yeah.
Because I was putting things out there that weren't true.
Yeah.
Like, you would see my fridge full of liquor, but you didn't see food.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, oh, well, you know, she's partying it up, whatever. Little did they know I was struggling.
Mm-hmm.
So, I forgot where I left off.
Sorry.
Oh. So yeah, I was.
So you gradually stopped partying because
yeah.
you didn't feel like it. That's where you stopped.
Were you like back in your faith at this moment, or was it?
I
It
was
was just
going
like
to church,
something
but,
in you.
It's just pulling her back from
Yeah.
the
Oh, yeah,
party.
I
Sometimes
go,
it's like
not
that
right now.
seed that's in you that starts to blossom in you, because
Mm-hmm.
God works from the inside out. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, nobody had to tell me to stop doing some of the things I was doing. You know, like the Lord was like, "You done?" And I was like,
Yeah, we're so
Yes.
stubborn. We're so
Yes.
stubborn.
She's like, yes, please.
but it's almost like that desire,
Right.
you know?
And I knew, because I knew at the end of the road, this is what I wanted.
Right.
Yeah.
But to get there was just like, I was so stubborn because I wanted to be in a relationship and I
Yeah.
wanted all this. You
You
know,
want to
and I-
control it too.
And yeah,
Us women, boy.
I was doing it
Well,
my own way. I was doing it my own way. So, obviously, look where it got me. I forgot where we were.
So you were gradually stop going out
Stop
and partying. I
partying.
got you, girl.
So, okay, and then this time, I gradually just completely stopped going. I wasn't doing any drugs.
Right.
And then the promiscuity it didn't stop until one point it did. I can't keep doing this. My kids were so used to me going out that they would put outfits on the bed for me. And they're going, Mom, you're not gonna go out? No. What? Why? Because they would just run wild, at home. And I don't think they believed me either until they did. And they're like,
Right,
oh,
right.
like, you're really not going out anymore. And then I was just to myself. I was alone. So then I started going to church a little bit more, you know. It was all my family. Well, not all of them, but most of my family was going to church. And so I would go and...
It's like my heart's beating here because I'm like, she's going to tell me when she found God. I can't.
So we're talking about years and years of all this suffering and all this torment and everything like that. And I don't want to talk about this last part and go into detail, but so I'm currently separated on my way to get divorced. And it hasn't been the easiest to deal with. And
Is this the same person, or is this somebody else? Okay.
yeah. So on the 7th will be a year that we've been separated. And when it happened, I fell into, you'd say, depression. Like, this again, like, if I ever married again, I didn't want to marry again, after that. I don't care if they say 3 times the charm. I didn't want to get married. I didn't want to get married again at the first time,
Yeah.
And, so I was drinking heavy, like, it wasn't just one bottle. It would be like 4 or 5. I know when I'm going to make all these mixed drinks, and we'd have people over, and it was just, repetitive thing. We already knew that was a good time, I even started going, like, I went to the club a few times, just to be like, I used to go to a club, some didn't
Those
sit
old
right with
behaviors
me.
just come back.
Yeah, I mean, I had fun.
Crazy.
And then the last time I had went, some just didn't feel right. And I go, I don't think I ever want to go to the club again. Like, what am I doing? And so one day my family gets together. My sister got us together. And we went. And I was being supportive because, again, I was partying.
Yeah.
And we get together, and I had no intentions on not changing, but I was like, I'm not ready yet.
Yeah.
Like, hold on.
Yeah.
And I decided when I got home, I'm not gonna drink no more.
Was it a spiritual moment for you?
Yeah. And my sister has her own testimony how that happened, but I'm just gonna say this. Are you okay if I say your name? Okay. So Beck was like, you know, I feel like this is what is you know, what needs to happen. Like, I feel like something heavy, like someone's pulling me, and I go, nothing's pulling me. So I don't know what you're talking about, but I'm here to support her, you know, be with the family. I love being with my family. And so then I go back, and I just like, she's like, well, let's have Bible study. Well, I end up doing Bible study. I go, well, let me buy a Bible, because, you know, I have a bunch of Bibles, but I want my own that I bought. So I bought a Bible. And then I started changing my music that we hear, because my family we love music, all genres, and it's a very big thing, you know. So I started changing my playlist, and from there I said, well, I'm not drinking now, and then I'm not gonna curse anymore. So in the past 8 months, I've cursed like 5 times, and they're unintentional.
Yeah.
And they just blurt out. And I'm like, I'm so sorry, God. So I started doing things like that, and then started reading the Bible, and then me and my sister are having Bible study, and then you know, we're trying to find a church home, so going to church more, and I feel like, I feel like I didn't even know the word at that time. I have conviction, and I'm going to do these things because I want to be more like Christ.
Yes.
And the world is so dark, and I want to be the light.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
I just want you to know that you are a light.
You are the light.
It's
I love it.
You're there.
it's my hair.
It's your
You
hair.
are a light.
Your hair's pretty too.
Thanks,
so.
sis. No. I want to be light. I want to be humble. I want to be kind. It's touchy because my kids are, you know, they're not serving God. And now that I know everything and all the stuff that I went through, I don't want them to go through that. But I didn't have, you know, that guidance. And I go, now I have to be their guidance. I have to be their light. I have to, you know, they have to see the change in me.
Right.
And it's hard because they're so stubborn, just like I was. And so,
Well, you're doing a great job.
thanks.
Because I see it in your daughters.
Yeah.
And I see it in that little baby. And you guys have been in church. And you're doing a good job. I see it. I just want to tell you that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Do you have any questions? Sorry.
No, you're fine.
I would like.
No, you're okay.
Fine. You guys have
I think
questions.
that's very amazing that you get to change the generations to come. You know
Yes.
what I mean? That you get to redirect the path
Yeah.
and show them a different way to live. You
Right.
know, and that's always such a blessing. And
Yeah.
I think when we have those moments, it's so powerful, because even though sometimes the enemy can still come and shame us of our past, and you know, like even with myself, sometimes I'm like, well, I already messed up. You know what I mean? They always say that the first child, you just like mess them all up. But then I'm like, what can I do? You know, we can pray for them. The
Yeah.
Lord, my son went through some seizures a few years ago. He started getting seizures. And we dealt with that for 2 years of just him having seizures. And it was the hardest thing to face, because one thing is when we go through something, but then seeing your child go through something and you have no control over that, that's hard. And I just remember thinking, how is he going to drive? This is going to affect his whole life. What if nobody loves him because he gets these seizures? What if he loses his friends, and what if he can't play sports? And I just was so consumed in thinking of all these negative things, right? And the Lord brought me back to Jeremiah 29:11, which is a very like popular verse, right? But I never understood it the way I understood it that night, right? And God will speak to you directly with scriptures that maybe you've read, but it didn't make sense at the time, right? And so I do definitely believe that God will guide you in parenting and handling the situations. And in that moment, he said, my mind is going by, for the thoughts that I think of you, right? So that was it, period. It was just that first beginning, right? And he said, I have authority as your father, right? But I have given you authority as his mother. And just by the thoughts that I think towards you of good, right?
Amen.
So just by thinking, you're thinking negative thoughts towards your son, right? Switch them and think positive thoughts, right? And thoughts of healing, right? Thoughts of good. And it's so crazy because he said, because I couldn't even pray at that moment because I was just like, I could pray for healing. Lord, heal him, right? But for some reason, it didn't feel powerful enough. You know what I mean? Because I wasn't believing it. Because behind that, Lord, heal him, was he's not going to be healed. He's going to not have a girlfriend. He's never going to get married. He's never going to drive. He's never going to, you know what I mean, experience life. And the Lord said, change your thoughts, right? And sometimes it's just even that, thinking good thoughts towards our kids, you know? Because sometimes we could be like, oh,
The devil's a
little
lie.
brat, you know? But then I had to catch myself and be like, for the thoughts that I think towards you are good, right? And so
Yeah, I feel like
he
it
definitely
starts
will
with
guide
thoughts.
us in parenting.
It does.
I feel like it starts with thoughts because
Yes.
those thoughts, the enemy controls your thoughts, or at least he tries.
Yeah.
And it's very important that we don't let that hinder us.
Control us, right?
Yeah.
Love it.
And all the stuff that happened in my life, I just want to put this out there because I might forget. After everything that has happened, and I don't hold any anger or bitterness or anything like that, because that's what pulled me down for so many years. And it's an ugly feeling, and it's like I could sit here today and be like, the weight of all that is,
You can let it drag you down.
yeah. And so with all the stuff, like, I forgave whoever hurt me when I was 8 or 9. And, you know,
That's powerful.
I forgave, and I also asked for forgiveness because I held so much resentment, anger, and it messed me up. And I didn't even realize till I was telling my sister like a year ago, I didn't know how much it affected me.
Right.
And I forgave the father of my children. And
I love it. I think that's awesome. Forgiveness is so important.
because I don't know what he's seen, what he went through, and he, you know, he has these demons that he needs to, he needs to ask God or seek God for that. I could only pray for him, and I asked him for forgiveness too, because I did so much messed up stuff after I found out so many things that he was doing behind my back. And when I left, I did something too that I can't take back.
Right.
But I asked for forgiveness because I don't want God to hold me.
Right.
You know.
And as Christians, we're commanded to
Yeah,
forgive.
and I had to be held accountable because I can't sit here and act like I was an angel.
Right.
And so we had talked, you know, after many years of not talking. And that opened the door for my kids to have a relationship
I
with
love
them
that.
once again, you know. And he got to see, you know, not physically, I mean, he can't be in person, but he was able to see, you know, his first granddaughter too, you know, because I opened that door, you know, for forgiveness. And
that's hard, especially when you've been through so much
Yeah.
abuse.
Yeah.
Like, That's tough.
That's very, very,
That's
very
very
strong
big of you.
Yeah, very big.
But
I had called my brother. I'm not gonna say which brother, but actually a couple brothers, and I said, I'm so sorry I wasn't there for you. I have a brother that changed his life like 2.5, 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
He changed his life because he has his own testimony, but he gave his life to God and everything, and I feel like I kind of shunned him. I shut him out,
Right.
you know, and so we talked and stuff, and I said, I'm so sorry, like I wasn't there for you, you know.
Right. It was hard. You was dealing with your own stuff. So.
Because when I first started, I felt lonely too.
Right.
Yeah.
And then my other brother, I was like a bully with him, and I treated him like crap. And I said, I'm so sorry. And
You're doing amazing. You're doing a good job.
thank you.
You're doing a really good job.
As for my kids, I feel like if anyone was disappointed or hurt, or any trauma they suffered, it was because of me. And so I told him I was sorry to forgive me, and then I'm trying to change a lot of stuff. And so I started with that, and I go, someone told me, you need to forgive yourself, and I go, that's stupid. I'm working on that now because it is so true.
Forgiving yourself. I like
And that's something that I'm working on right now, which is really hard.
that. Forgiving yourself.
And anyway, I don't know, and I even would post it like, I don't even know why I'm here. I don't know what's my purpose. I don't. Now I'm like, I don't know, and that's okay with me. I don't know my purpose, and we had talked, and I said, when you came, and I said, I don't care if God has me in just being a member and sitting down, you know, and just worshiping.
Being a prayer warrior, yeah.
Wherever He wants me, my heart is open to it. My
Being that vessel for him.
March, I think it was March 8th, the day after my birthday, I got baptized again.
I love that.
And
Congratulations.
Thanks.
I'm scared of water. I wanted to do it publicly, you know, to declare, you know, that God is in my life, that He is, that I surrendered, and then I felt like, you know what, it's intimate, it's between me and God. So,
I love that.
yeah, I don't know what God has in store for me, to be honest, and that doesn't matter at this point, because whatever I just went through, whatever I'm going through right now, I know God has a bigger plan for me. I don't know, and that's what excites me.
Yeah.
That's what gives me hope, and I can only go forward from now. Like, this in itself, this podcast is already like, you know, one step further, because I am not a person that, you know,
You're very shy. I know when
we're
I
not
walked
gonna talk
in.
about what happened before.
She's crying. I was like, I just walked in.
So, and if I don't know you, I'm very like shy and timid and stuff, and I stutter, and so for me to even be on here is a blessing. You know, that God has. I don't know, and I'm walking by faith.
Yes.
Walking by
Because
faith. I love that.
You can't do it alone.
Right.
I don't want to do it alone. I don't want to go back. I don't want to do any of the stuff that I did before. I just want to go forward, and God says forget about your past, because there's something great at the other side. What I have for you.
Yeah.
And I have faith in that, and I believe in it, and And now I'm not really like that nervous as I was, but I really do appreciate you guys even having me on here. Like,
well, thank you for sharing your story. Like, I could just see how much you were struggling in the beginning, and I'm just so proud of you.
We're gonna cut that out, right?
Because I know you were in the bathroom like, Rita, I'm like, it's gonna be okay. So thank you so much for coming and sharing your story, and this is gonna impact so many people.
So many women.
Before we end, is there a message you want to tell our viewers and listener? Is there something you want to leave them with before we end?
Not that comes to mind. So I'm just gonna say this. Forgiveness is the most important thing that you can have. I don't know why I feel like I've always been a forgiving person, but now even more I believe that it is so important to have forgiveness, because that leaves behind so much behind. It leaves the anger, the sadness, the bitterness, all those things, and those carry so much weight. Those are from the enemy, because God is joy, God is love, God is life, and all those other things are from the enemy.
Amen.
And
it's beautiful.
Those things don't have any room in my life.
Amen.
Come on, declare it.
So
I love it.
yeah, get a Bible, read your Bible.
Get a Bible, read your Bible.
Ask questions.
Don't
ask
just get it, read
it. Have a relationship with God. Talk to Him like He's your friend, because that's what He is. He's a friend.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're awesome. It was great having you.
Thank you. Do you guys have any questions?
Audience?
Yeah. Remember to be bold.
Be brave.
And be better. See you guys soon.